Now, I have to give you a caveat. A lot of you because I've been dissing Magnus ever since this started. A lot of you are like, you're always dissing Magnus, you hate Magnus, you have something against Magnus, and they add on to that by saying, I'm American and Hans is American and I'm back in the American. Okay, first of all, I'm not a Hans fan. I'm the opposite of a Hans fan. Okay? If anybody cheated online, it was Hans. If you told me they had proof that somebody rated 2650 to 2750 cheated, guess who it is? I would guess Hans first. If you told me somebody was cheating for years online, guess who? I would guess Hans. I'm not saying he did cheat. I'm just saying that's the first thought that comes into my mind. And I didn't like Hans when he was a kid, and Karen says that doesn't matter much because he's not a kid anymore. You can't judge a 19-year-old on actions they made between the ages of 13 and 16. Okay, maybe. Yeah, she's got a point. I'm not sure what it is. So I'm not a Hans fan. So if Magnus says Hans cheated and Magnus is sure about it and I have no other evidence, I'm going to guess Magnus is right. However, I've seen the games. I've seen what other top GMs say. I've seen what's going on. I don't think Hans cheated in the Singfield Cup. And if he didn't cheat in the Singfield Cup, then everything that Magnus is doing is crazy. If he cheated when he was 13, 14, 15, 16 online, and he's never cheated OTB, then what the hell's Magnus doing? So I don't see evidence of that, but I wouldn't be shocked if it comes out in the next days, weeks, months that Hans has been cheating his whole life. I won't be like, oh my God, I'm shocked. Okay, whatever. I mean, that's, but right now I'm shocked at Magnus's, like the way Magnus is handling it. You can argue with Magnus whether Hans cheated or not, but it's going to be hard for Magnus to convince somebody that his reaction is correct. I've played people in tournaments that I think cheated. I mean, that's, if you play enough tournaments, somebody's going to cheat against you. And, withdrawing from a round robin is something you don't do. And playing knight f6 and then resigning, that's also something you don't do. So, Magnus is overreacting even if Hans did cheat, which I don't think he did in the Singfield Cup. All I'm going to say is I don't think Hans cheated in the Singfield Cup. If you told me Hans cheated online a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I have no opinion on that. I mean, that's possible. And so this is unfortunate that somebody with Magnus's reputation is ruining his reputation with a lot of people, even people in Norway. They're like, dude, what are you doing? You can't just play knight f6 and resign. What are you, crazy? And the thing is, when you're convinced you're right and you're the world champion and you think you have a better sense of ethics than other people, you do what you think is the most ethical and the most correct. And that's what Magnus is doing. It's just that most of the world doesn't agree with that being the way to do it. So it's not shocking that Magnus is doing whatever the fuck he wants. He's Magnus. That's what people do. Now, I will give you my opinion on something, and I feel strongly about it. DT Greg subscribed. If Magnus and Hans come in the top 8, and obviously Magnus will, as far as I understand it, the format is matches. 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7. That's the way they always do it. I assume they're doing the same thing. So it's not like Magnus could play Hans again. If they get paired, they're playing a match. It's not one game, it's many games. I think it's 2 days also. So if that happens, probably won't happen, but it might. If that happens, in my opinion, Magnus will not play that match. And Hans will just win the match on forfeit. That's my opinion. Magnus will refuse to play. it would be weird to just play him now and play like a 4-game match and play another one. So we have to hope that that doesn't happen. Or if you like drama and insanity, you have to hope that it does happen. That's depending on how you feel about things. Let's get to level 5. Hooray. And one of the things I don't like is people are complaining Magnus has to say something, which I agree with, and they're also saying you can't accuse people of cheating. I mean, that's what he's doing. He's accusing people of cheating without saying it. What, is he supposed to come out and say, I think that Hans cheated? Then there'll be a lot of backlash. You can't just call somebody a cheater. You're ruining his reputation. You can't say those things about him. So Magnus is in a tough place. Thanks, Grandmaster Gus. Magnus is saying what he believes without talking. His actions speak louder than words. And if he says words, he can get in trouble. The U.S. Chess Federation and FIDE don't like and Chess.com and probably Leech, I don't know. They don't like when you accuse people of cheating. Let me give you an example. Let's say I'm playing Naroditsky, and Naroditsky beats me 20 games in a row in some time control, 5 minute, 3 minute, 1 minute, doesn't matter. And then I'm like, I should score like 2 out of 20 against Naroditsky, and I scored 0. I know he's cheating and using an engine. I can't believe Naroditsky's cheating against me, but he's cheating. If I'm streaming and I'm saying that, and I'm calling him a cheater on my stream, then I'm going to get a phone call and an email from Danny Wrench. And he's going to say, you can't accuse other streamers of cheating. You can't do that. That's not allowed. I can't just go on my stream and say, this guy's a cheater that I'm playing. Now, if it's Rufus and Doofus and they're cheating, I'm going to say they're cheating, which Chess.com also doesn't like. When I do that, Chess.com does not approve. They don't like when I do that. But if it's Rufus and Doofus, they don't care very much. If it was another streamer, I would get a talking to. Sort of like in Inglourious Bastards, right? When he shot that guy, he said, I'll get a talking to, but I'm still good. So I would get a talking to, and I would get in trouble if I accused another streamer of cheating, even if I believed it was true. If I believe a streamer is cheating, and I believe it, like I really believe it, I have to go through the back channels. I can't be telling you guys. I got to send secret, illegal communications with the Chess.com people and say, hey, this streamer's cheating. And then they'll investigate and they'll tell me I'm wrong. Or they won't tell me I'm wrong. They'll be like, yeah, okay. And that hasn't happened. I'm just giving a for instance. So it's frowned upon to accuse people of cheating, even when they're cheating. So that's why Magnus isn't saying anything. But if he doesn't say anything, his behavior is very strange. Now, in my opinion, obviously Magnus doesn't agree with my opinion. Also, Magnus doesn't care what my opinion is. But in my opinion, Magnus shouldn't have played in this tournament. Magnus saw that Hans was playing, and Magnus had 2 options. The normal option is don't play, because he doesn't want to play Hans. He refuses to play Hans. Or he could use his pull to get Hans out of the tournament. He could tell the organizers, I'm Magnus Carlsen, this guy's a cheater, don't let him play in the tournament. And they would be like, all right, you're Magnus Carlsen, what are we supposed to do? So I think one way or the other, one of them should not be playing. I think the better way would be have Magnus not playing, since Magnus is the one with the unfounded accusations. And to agree to play in the tournament, knowing he's going to play Hans and knowing he's going to forfeit the game is weird, because that affects the final standings. It could have financial remunerations. So that's a bad decision by Magnus to forfeit the game and know beforehand he's going to do that. Now, a lot of people after the forfeit yesterday are talking about Magnus's behavior. However, when Magnus withdrew from the Sinkfield Cup, very few people talked about his behavior. They said, well, Magnus thinks Hans cheated. Let's talk about that for a week. Did Hans cheat? Did he not cheat? And my point was always, it doesn't matter. If Hans cheated or didn't cheat, Magnus shouldn't withdraw from the Sinquefield Cup. That affects everybody. I mean, I'm not watching the Sinquefield Cup to watch people who aren't Magnus. I'm there to watch. I want to see the world champion play chess. That's why the Sinquefield Cup exists. I mean, if you organize a chess tournament and the world champion agrees to play in your tournament and then drops out after 3 rounds because he thinks one of his opponents cheated, if you're a sponsor or an organizer, you're pretty pissed off. That's, I mean, you can't do that. You don't withdraw from a round robin. So I don't agree with his withdrawing, irrespective of whether Hans cheated or not. And I don't agree with him refusing to play Hans. He should just not play in the tournament if that's going to be the case, because he's affecting the other players. Also, it's making it more of a stink.